Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to talk about if there was still value in Sword and Shield booster boxes post TCG player sale. Um, it's really interesting being in this hobby. You see people flip-flop all the time in terms of chasing value, chasing what the next booster box is, chasing the next era. We saw it with Sword and Shield earlier this month when prices skyrocketed. Notably, Fusion Strike of Evolving Skies, really all of the boxes that have alt arts. And then we started seeing some money pour back into Scarlet and Violet with the Prismatic, restock coming out. People started buying a lot of the PC ETBs. Paldea Evolved is $300. Um, if you start to notice a trend in the hobby, you realize that people and investors and whales and, kind of the person buying a single box and all the people in between, they're kind of flip flopping back and forth as value is applied to those boxes, if that makes sense. So, when booster boxes went up for Sword and Shield, how they evolved, people started putting money into that. They start identifying opportunities. And I think right now we're in a period where everything is really expensive. Destin Rivals is on the horizon, right? There's kind of a lot of things being thrown at us. A lot of people are buying prismatic ETBs. Everything's really expensive. I think today I just want to take a snapshot in time and determine, is there still value in Sword and Shield? The short answer, I think, is definitely. I think there's a lot of time since these sets have been released. I mean, Chilling Reign came out almost 4 years ago in June, so in about a month, which is absolutely absurd when you consider, well, just being alive. I can't believe how much time has gone past since it came out. I feel like it was yesterday when I saw it released. Same with Fusion Strike. But Sword and Shield is really interesting because obviously it goes without saying they're not making any more of it, at least in the form of booster boxes. And Scarlet and Violet, I think, has a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of price fatigue right now, but after the TCG player sale, some prices on the booster boxes for Sword and Shield went up. I think we're going to see a period, and we're even starting to see it a little bit now, where prices start to drop just slightly. Nothing too crazy, maybe 5% drops considering where demand is at currently, bar any catastrophe or crazy market, changes. But we know this is what happens with booster box sets. They staircase over time. They'll start at $1 or $100. They'll go up to 150 and then they kind of stay at 150 for 6 months, 7 months. And then they go up, 20%, right? So now they're 180. Oh, great. 180. We're going to put money now into another era, Scarlet and Violet. And then you go back and forth and back and forth. I think there is still a ton of value in Sword and Shield, considering how good the alt arts are. Need I remind you, we don't get cards like this really anymore. Just take a look at Evolving Skies, right? By the way, total set value still over $5,000. Pretty insane. Even when the singles are dropping. Just wanted to throw that out there. Once in a generation. Look at the Mimrion, look at the Rayquaza, the Umbreons, the Dragonites, the Evolutions. You just don't get sets like this right now. Scarlet and Violet is great. It's not this set. And I think that goes for a few of the higher quality Sword and Shield sets. They're just a cut above, in my opinion. And when we look at the sets, like I said, I think some money is being put into Scarlet and Violet. Our attention is starting to turn away from these sets after the recent pump. I think smart money is going to start moving back into these at some point soon. And now we have to consider which sets are worth investing in. And this last pump, the market has determined Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, Fusion Strike especially, obviously, not Chilling Reign necessarily, but Evolving Skies. And in this chart, I've actually divided, I've created a quick formula. dividing this total set value divided by the booster box price. And in my opinion, the number one indicator that we have to determine booster box price is the set value. It is no secret. I think people forget that sometimes. If a set has a high set value, well, the boxes are probably going to be higher than sets that have a lower set value. And I think from here we can kind of extrapolate with the other information in the market, print runs, where it's at in its life cycle, how many years it was released. The chase cards are really important. How fun is it to open? These things matter. We can create a pretty decent idea of what's going to perform well long term. And I think when we look at Sword and Shield, there's a lot of value here, in my opinion. To start, I think Chilling Reign is very undervalued across the landscape of the most desirable Sword and Shield boxes. Now, when we divide the set value by the price of the box, we almost have a ratio of 4-1. 4-1. By far the highest ratio, meaning this set is deep. It has the most alt arts, right? The most alt arts, some pretty decent chase cards. Now, it's not S tier chase cards like the Giratina or the Moonbryon, but the Blaziken and the Moltres hold their own. I mean, this value is still relatively high. Like, it really hasn't dropped, since the recent boom that much. The Moltres is loved. Everybody likes this card. It's really cool. Still really high value. And then you have these Slow Kings, Calyrexes. I love the Zapdos. It's just a really deep set. This Tornadus is super underrated. Pretty cool. It's a really deep set. The box is cool looking. I know it was printed to Oblivion, but so are all of these sets. Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest. Like, come on. The Brilliant Stars. These were all printed, roughly the same amount. Now, one thing worth noting is I don't think Chilling Reign is as opened as much, probably because of that chase card. When we look at PSA pop reports, it tends to be, not really near the top of the list. People aren't running and trying to grade these cards as much as, the top chases in Fusion or Evolving or whatever. But for $419 shipped, or not shipped, with shipping, shipping included, plus tax, of course, you can have Chilling Reign. It is cheaper right now than Brilliant Stars and about the same price as Astral. I think Astral on eBay is selling for higher, actually. $415 plus $2 shipping is pretty ridiculous. 425, 432. Of course, this was on the sale. Chilling Reign is undervalued, man. Total second highest set value in the era amongst mainline booster boxes. At some point, this has to correct. It's also the oldest of all the good Sword and Shield sets. It's almost 4 years old. There is value in this set. I truly believe that. I just bought another box myself. I have no doubts that this has a lot of room to run, in my opinion. Once we settle at these prices and people are looking for opportunity in the market after a few weeks or even a few months go by, people are going to start realizing that Chilling Reign is undervalued. Set value is super high. It's pretty cool. Chases are pretty cool. The box looks really nice to display. The blue, I think it's a great buy, and I will be looking to pick more up at this price point in this market. I think the same can be said about some of the later sets that were released. Fusion, for me, is a great set. Obviously, it's better than Chilling Reign. Is it 2 times the value better than Chilling Reign? A set with lower set value by like $200, and it's 4 months older or 4 months younger. Is it really worth 2 times the amount of Chilling Reign? Would you rather have 1 Fusion Strike or 2 Chilling Reign boxes? I mean, maybe some of y'all would say fusion, but I think I'd rather have two Chilling Reign right now. um, you know, there is a pretty direct correlation between this percentage within a range and it performing well. Evolving Skies, by this metric, would be pretty undervalued. Again, total set value is over $5,000. At that booster box price, with the age that it is at 1,800, it's probably still a good buy. It probably still has a lot of room to go. I think the same could be said about Brilliant Stars. You know, this box is actually pretty expensive, but considering the Charizard as a chase, considering the trainer gallery with the Umbreons and the Sylveons, and the set value being, you know, pretty respectable, and with its age being over 3 years old, I think Brilliant Stars is also a decent buy. Now, a lot of people have been saying Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest is why is Astral Radiance, you know, way more expensive than Silver Tempest? And I kind of agree, but if you look at the set values, Astral Radiance kind of dominates Silver Tempest. I mean, Silver Tempest has the Lugia. That's about it, really. Astral Radiance has some pretty respectable, but no, you know, major chase cards. The Machamp and the Palkia, Dialga, whatever. You know, for $430 a box, or I'm sorry, $415 a box, being $50 more than Silver Tempest, there's probably some value in this set. You know, I'm just not really feeling like wanting to spend $430 on Brilliant when I can have Chilling for $10 less. It just seems crazy to me. I don't know. Lost Origin, I think, is priced pretty appropriately. You know, top 3, top 4 set, $537 sounds about right. But you know, these things are important to look at when you're considering buying booster boxes, investing your hard-earned money for a relatively high price. You know, I think a lot of times people just kind of shill and they blindly buy, but it's nice to have some type of metric as to why booster boxes increase to make kind of a more informed decision, which is part of the reason why Astral jumped so much. Now, a lot of people are saying it was short printed. Maybe it was. I guess time will tell. But you have to believe that at $300, you know, having a ratio of that, like over 3, people are going to identify that from a mile away. So I think the best buys right now are Chilling. Evolving, Evolving is always going to be good. It's a generational set. Has by far the deepest and best alt art kind of lineup that really the hobby has ever seen. And I don't even think $1,800 is too much. A year from now, I wouldn't be surprised if this was well over 3K, which sounds crazy, but with the recent jumps, I mean, we could be even higher potentially. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Brilliant, great buy. Super deep trainer gallery, really great chase card. I think it kind of has all the things. You know, people love Brilliant Stars when it came out. It's fun to open. Astral, you know, for these kind of, you know, Silver Tempest and Astral, I'd maybe wait. Just kind of see where the dust settles on these sets and see if you can get a pretty good deal locally. You will be fine. Now, you're probably wondering about Battle Styles having such a high ratio. It's kind of interesting. I mean, Battle Styles was printed really heavily, but it's over 4 years old. $200, having a set value of 680. You know, the Tyranitar is pretty cool, the Urshifu, whatever, but I just don't know if people really care at this point about the set. And, you know, one thing that's interesting about the hobby is that when people decide that they like something and they decide they don't like something, they'll repeat it over and over until other people believe it too. Which is maybe part of the syndrome with Chilling Reign. I'm a believer. For this amount of money, I feel like it's a pretty relatively safe investment as far as value on Sword and Shield goes post pump here. So yeah, as prices continue to stabilize and maybe even drop, you know, be looking for deals on these what I would consider more premium sets. But you know, just food for thought. Purely speculative. You know, pay attention to the kind of swings that you see in the market with going between Scarlet and Violet and PCTBs, and oh, now we're back in Sword and Shield. I think it's been really interesting this past month with everything going on, and there's going to be opportunity, there's going to be value if you're patient. So just check your Facebook, check your eBay, and yeah, be diligent about the condition and all of that too. But let me know what you guys think. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens these next few months. But yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want to subscribe, feel free. Not obligated to, but it does help the channel out a lot. And I've just been having a lot of fun making videos and just enjoying the hobby and kind of seeing a different perspective. But anyway, done rambling. Peace, y'all.